Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to another edition of the 205 Live NXT recap show here on FightfulSelect.com. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and we are shaking things up once again here at the show, at the recap show. A couple of weeks ago, there's a certain event that began, which was referred to as the Mae Young Classic. You may have heard about it. When we decided to start this one up and get going with it, when it started up, I should say, Sean and I, we talked and I said, why don't I do a quick recap as well of the Mae Young Classic? That went well. And in the meantime, well, WWE finally decided to premiere NXT UK. So I figured, well, since I'm already in the groove of talking about 3 shows on this recap show that we have here, why don't I just go right ahead, throw in NXT UK at the end, and we'll have ourselves a 205 Live NXT party together. I think it's fantastic. Man, Wednesday nights now, as far as WWE goes, it's such a great move to have put 205 Live on at 7. And I don't know if the Mae Young Classic, if this was part of a plan, if they wanted to test the waters out with the Mae Young Classic after NXT to see if it was a good idea to put NXT UK after that, but it's just perfect. It works really, really well. And we get ourselves, then we as viewers are treated with 3 hours of fantastic wrestling on behalf of the Big E. And I'm not talking about the guy from the New Day, whose last name is Langsford, the WWE. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, listening. FightfulSelect.com. You guys know how it goes. Tell your friends about it. Why don't you do that? Tell people about the exciting content that's here, that's available. You know what? I mean, because you guys are already aware of it, but did you know that your boy, Sean Ross Sapp, recently just put out a free preview, a Q&A session. So that's what you should be telling your friends. Like, look, you get all these podcasts, plus you have a fantastic Q&A session with Sean, whose knowledge is immense, who has contacts. He has the scoops. He knows what's down. You tell your friends that. You say, look, you come and ask this guy your questions. You'll get straight answers, man. Have them take a look at it. It's a great way to get a feel for what's going on over here at FightfulSelect.com for the unwashed masses who are not subscribed yet. Let's get right at it. I feel we've got a lot of great content to go through this evening, so let's go right ahead. We're going to start by talking about 205 Live, Cruiserweights, still consistently one of my favorite shows of in all of WWE programming. We have, to begin with, Jack Gallagher squaring off against the Brian Kendrick. Of course, this is off of the turn, the betrayal of Jack Gallagher and Drew Gulak on Brian Kendrick, a betrayal that actually makes more sense and hits harder than anything the Bellas did to Ronda Rousey. I can tell you that much. Gallagher is, of course, accompanied to the ring by Drew Gulak, who sits down on commentary. He's always fun to have on commentary. I've said it once and I'll say it again. When people discuss about who's the best promo in WWE, who cuts the best promos, oftentimes, poor old Drew is forgotten, set aside, tossed aside. Drew is a fantastic guy on the mic. He needs to be put into that category more often than not. He's comfortable, he's natural, always entertaining. Kendrick, Brian Kendrick, takes offense to a slap by Gallagher and starts kicking him down. Gallagher goes to the outside to stall, but a sliding dropkick by Kendrick sort of takes those stalling dreams away. And as you know, I'm a fan of a good stall. Was not treated to that tonight. Snap suplex by Jack Gallagher. on Kendrick. He uses a combination of holds and strikes to stay in control early on, gets a nice backbreaker over the knee, covers for 2. Meanwhile, Gulak on the mic with commentary is basically putting over the fact that, justifying what he and Gallagher did, the betrayal, the turn. Basically saying that Kendrick lost his edge. Kendrick gets psyched up back in the ring, asking Gallagher to strike him. He's over and over. Of course, Gallagher's happy to oblige, but it's just pumping. It's just pumping Kendrick up more. He gets back to his feet, but in the meantime, commentary was a bit distracted, and that's too bad because they really missed an important part. I feel a turning point in the story of this match where Kendrick was taking the abuse but getting himself psyched up. They could have put it over a lot better. Kendrick battles back body drop on Gallagher. Kendrick then lays in the forearms. He goes for the captain's hook, but Gallagher blocks by holding on to the ropes. Tiger suplex follows, covers for 2, but then he floats right into the captain's hook, which was fantastic. Gallagher breaks the hold by reaching the ropes, and Jack G is back in control. Sunset flips over the top rope and takes down Kendrick right into a sleeper. But that's not enough to keep our man Brian down. Kendrick gets back in control, super kicks Jack Gallagher. Sensing trouble, Drew Gulak leaves the commentary table, goes over onto ringside to perhaps interfere, but we'll never know what his true intentions were because Akira Tozawa runs out from the audience, hops the barricade, and kicks Gulak down to the ground. Slappy then hits sliced bread number 2 for the win. Hadn't seen that in a while. I guess he's officially a babyface again. Kendrick pins his old partner. I was going to call him Drew Gallagher, but it's Jack Gallagher. I'm paying attention. That was a good opener, very solid. And the segment or this part of the show, this first quarter hour, as we used to say back in the 90s, ends with Kendrick and Tozawa sort of looking at each other, staring at each other as Gallagher and Gulak head on off up the ramp. Are we seeing the birth of a new pairing? I'm going to talk about this just a little later. We go backstage. We see Cedric Alexander, former cruiserweight champion Cedric Alexander, the spearheader of the Age of Alexander. If you know, if you remember that. He says he's with Drake Maverick, and he says that he's surprised he's not getting his rematch clause. He's not getting his rematch period, not just the clause. He's not getting his rematch period. So he lets general manager Jake Maverick know about that. Mavs tells him that he'll get it when he deems ready. Since he's lost the cruiserweight title, Alexander's been on a losing streak, so it would be unfair to the division if Maverick were to give him his title shot straight away, and that makes sense. It makes sense in the character of Drake Maverick as GM, because I think that the character of Drake Maverick, the character of Drake Maverick as a manager of the AOP, I think that's another character. But this character here on 205 Live, it makes sense. He's been a proponent of earning your matches, earning your title shots. You're at the bottom, you have to claw your way back to the top. We've seen this before. So this is a part of continuity that I appreciate and makes complete sense. And there's nothing Cedric Alexander can say. All he can say is, yeah, this makes sense. Because it does. When it makes sense? Everything's fine when things make sense. So that was a little segment that made me happy. Grand Metalik comes to the ring. The new part with his Lucha House Party buddies, the newest members of the Raw division. Still wondering what's going to happen there. I think that on Raw they're just boosting. I think they finally want to give the tag division a shot in the arm, and they're bringing in tag teams from left and right. Yes, I was about to say right, reft, and left. I was about to say that. You'd swear I'm taking dictation lessons, speaking properly, but no, I'm not. So basically, Grand Metalik is in one-on-one competition here tonight against a dude, some enhancement talent. At first, I was pretty happy because I kind of miss the showcase matches that sort of serve as a break between the opening match and the main event. But there was not much here as far as the match goes. It was, you know, Metalik basically just steamrolling this guy. But the story here was that TJP during the week was challenged by Metalik on social media to a fight, and TJP had declined. But just after Metalik hits his springboard top rope elbow for the win, TJP runs in from the audience and steals Metalik's mask. So now he has the full set of Lucha House Party masks. He has them all. However, he has Metalik's full mask, because recently we saw Metalik debut a mask where the bottom, like the mouth is uncovered right under the chin. There's a chin strap under the mask. We've seen that one debut. He reverted back to the full face mask tonight, and that's the one that TJP got. He didn't get the one with the exposed mouth, so there's a variant missing in your collection, TJP. And any collector knows it's one thing to get, you know, the proper item, but if there's variants, you need the variants if you're going to be a legitimate collector. Buddy Murphy then is backstage. Manchester, England is where they'll be hailing from next week. He requests a match with one of the best members of the UK division, Mark Andrews. So there you go. And he's going to get that match next week. Then we see Mike and Maria Kanellis backstage, who hijacked the interview that they were a part of. Maria basically grabs the mic saying, you know, oh, I can do this better than you. And then in turn, their interview gets hijacked in turn by TJP, who's obviously fleeing the Lucha House Party with Metalik's mask. And I like how he was holding the mask like over his fist like this, or at least maybe his hand was like that, but he was holding it like this the entire time he was on camera. It was like, hey, have you seen the Lucha House guys? Just to make really sure that we understood, right? Yeah, he's got the mask. Basically what this sets up is Kanellis, who last week defeated Lince Dorado in his premiere on his first match on 205 Live, basically extending his beef with the Luchas, and now you have TJP and him sort of banding together. That's the idea. TJP and Mike Kanellis are like, well, look, there's an opportunity here. Let's see what we can do together. So basically, what I'm thinking here. You have another duo that's formed here. You had another one at the beginning of the evening with Kendrick and Tozawa. You have Jack Gallagher and Drew Gulak. You have Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese. Are we on the cusp of these fabled 205 Live Tag Team Championship belts? Because, you know, right now it's the stuff of legend. People talk about the existence of these titles in hushed tones and reverent tones around campfires. It's word of mouth. It's become part of oral tradition, as we have never seen these titles. But maybe we're on the verge of this, because there's a lot of duos being created, like two guys watching out for each other. There's a lot of them now. You could have probably also count Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali in there. You know, they've been pals for a significant amount of time. So it feels like something's coming. We'll see. But I will toss it out there that I have the impression that we're on the verge of the tag team titles. Main event time, Mustafa Ali versus Tony Nese. Winner gets a shot at Buddy Murphy's Cruiserweight Championship. Nese is on an upswing. Let's not forget, he's beaten Cedric Alexander 2 times since Alexander lost his Cruiserweight title. Ali defeated Hideo Itami last week, but he's still apparently very banged up. He's still banged up, apparently, because he's wearing the rib tape. Wears the rib tape quite well. I'd give him, it's on Adam Cole levels of rib tape wearing, of rib tape wearing panache. Nese begins with some power moves early on. Fantastic sequence coming up early on. Ali hits the ropes, leapfrogs over, but Nese sort of trips him up. Not sure if Nese trips him up or if it was an actual trip, but Ali rolls through, Hurricane Rana's Nese to the outside, then he gets drop kicked to the floor. Plancha on Nese, who rolls through, who gets the plancha, rolls through it, and seamlessly just picks up Ali and overheads him right into the ramp behind him. That was a really super slick sequence, putting over Ali's dexterity and Tony Nese's power. It was really, really cool. Nese presses Ali over his head and drops him on a barricade. Back in the ring, he waist locks Ali in the ring. Ali battles back, but Nese knees him in the midsection a few times. Nese knees him. Nese knees. Ali counters a knee strike into a cover. Then into a cover. Ali goes for a tornado. Excuse me. Ali goes for a tornado DDT. Nese catches him and into a Northern Lights suplex, bridges it, covers, gets 2. That was, again, a really nice sequence. Nese is strong, man. He's so strong. And this was really put on blast here. And this is actually a really good way to do big man, little man matches. Not that there's really that much of a difference between them, but you know, when you get, Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin, what we're going to focus on is that one guy's really big, one guy's really small, and the small guy has to do, that the small guy has to do all these moves. There's a lot of emphasis that's put on the fact that he has to be super dexterous and quick to get through the power of the other guy, which is true. But here you have really two, like, as far as sizes go, fairly even. I mean, Tony Nese is a bit on the heavier, is more closer to 205 than Mustafa Ali is. But the story that they're telling here isn't focused on one guy has to be quick, one guy has to be strong. No, this is how they are, and this is how they're playing off each other. So that was really interesting without having it being shoved down our throats, especially by commentary. That was very cool. Nese starts slowing down the pace, keeps working at the midsection, which is, of course, taped up and very, very injured, especially since he's been working on it quite a bit. Gets some power moves in, does a pop-up flapjack, covers, only gets 2. We have some top rope shenanigans that lead to Ali sweeping Nese's legs, and he falls off the buckle, and he hits the back of his head pretty hard, I found, on the turnbuckles. Ali starts striking, but his midsection hurts. He can't get as many moves off as he wants. Nese misses a springboard moonsault off the second rope, but Ali maneuvers a sunset flip into a sit-out power bomb, but he can't cover because it put a lot of pressure on his midsection. Ali gets a sit-out face buster, clotheslines Nese to the outside. Ali hits a tope con hilo, but and the way he flips, he comes in seated. It was crazy. They beat the 10 count. Both of them are on the outside. They're suffering. They beat the 10 count. Ali back in, hits a cross body block, cover, and gets a 2.9. Nice dodges a lariat from Ali with a beautifully executed back kick to the gut again. But Ali battles back with 3 kicks. A strike to the face, a super kick to the chin. Nice turns around, super kick to the back of the head. Mwah! He covers, gets another 2. But that was awesome. Both guys are exhausted. They're spent. Ali gets out of a fireman's carry, hits the tornado DDT, covers, only gets 2. He goes to the top rope again, but it leads to some shenanigans, which ends with Nice getting a super over-the-knee backbreaker, which was another really good showing of his strength. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, Ali's midsection is going to be just completely stuffed right up into his chest. That's ridiculous. There won't be any more midsection. Nice is frustrated, starts kicking into the corner, pulls away at the rib tape, vicious kicks. The ref tries to get him to stop. And as the referee is trying to interfere and Nice is paying too much attention to the ref, Ali jackknife pins Nice out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Your number 1 contender to Buddy Murphy's cruiserweight title is your boy Mustafa Ali. Nice is pissed off. He wants to. He's giving us the impression that he wants to unload on Ali, but he doesn't. Cedric Alexander runs in to make sure that Nice doesn't beat up on Ali. And here's something that was pretty interesting. Alexander runs in the ring and he picks Ali up, and he sort of like real quickly he whips his arm around Ali, and I'm like, for a second I was like, yeah, I thought it was gonna rock bottom or something. I was like, oh, heel turn, but no. It was, I don't know if it was intentional or if it really was a tease, like just a little peek behind the veil. But for a second, I thought that they were actually going to give Cedric Alexander a personality. Not today. Buddy Murphy comes out, has a stare down with his belt, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I thought this match was primo. Tony Nese is low-key becoming one of the great workers in the WWE locker room right now. He's had fantastic matches this year. Ever since his mini push, he's been shining. He's been taking every opportunity he's had to shine. He had a fantastic match with Johnny Gargano on NXT TV a couple of weeks ago. I have always had a soft spot for Tony Nese, and I feel like he's growing into something great. So I can only hope this continues. Ali and Nese work really, really well together. It was impressive, the amount of chemistry they have. I want more of these guys. I really, really do. I think a dragged out feud between the both of them would be fantastic. This, you know what I often say? I've rewatched a few of my old shows, and I've realized that the way that I grade my 205 Live matches is whether I tell you to tell someone who doesn't watch 205 Live to watch this match. So is this a match that you should tell someone who doesn't watch 205 Live? You should watch 205 Live. Check out this match. Yes, this is one of those matches. It's hard-hitting, super physical, 2 different styles that complete each other very, very well. Fantastic storytelling. I will be so bold as to say that I preferred this match to Ali Atami last week. It told a better story. It had better action. 2 guys who are starving to make it big. They worked really well together. Kudos, 205 Live. Fantastic edition. This was a great, great edition of the 205 Live. Now, we're moving on to NXT. We start off with a recap of the Aleister Black denouement. Now, here's the thing. If Regal was investigating all this time and he never got to the bottom of it, what was the point? And at some point, shouldn't he have said, oh, well, perhaps we should call the police. Perhaps we should have a detective inspector.
involved in the investigation. I am not quite adept at trying to find who's responsible for such a heinous act.
That's my actual William Regal impression. Please never show him. No, but so but it's fine. I get that they had to find a way to stretch out the storyline. Suspension of disbelief, but it's just really, really funny at this point where we get to where it's like, we found out who it is, but William Regal, whatever you did, your investigation, your interviews, it was all useless. And besides, the question now that's on everyone's mind is, why, Johnny? Why'd you do it, Johnny? But to me, the real question everyone should be asking themselves is, how, Johnny? How'd you do it? How'd you pull that off? How did you, little wee Johnny Gargano, how did you take out Aleister Black? That's what I want to know. Can't be just a super kick. I'm sure he didn't have time to apply the Gargano escape for 15 minutes, long enough to injure Aleister Black out of a takeover. You know what I mean? There's something I want to know how Johnny did it. It's not as much why. I couldn't care less why. But how? That's the kind of stuff you want to know. We get our first match of the night with Nikki Cross coming out on a Halloween evening. Could you have started NXT on Halloween with a better performer, a more apropos competitor? And she comes out to face Mercedes Martinez, man. Always a thrill to see the ring general. Her match with Meiko Satomura, by the way, the Mae Young Classic, if I haven't talked about it enough already, is amazing. Probably top 2 matches of the tournament. We'll just leave it at that. First or second, it was so good. It was really, really fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on the network, man. I don't know what you're doing. Press pause here, go watch it, then unpause and come watch me again because, I want views. All right, Martinez and Nikki go at it with some grappling to start. Martinez has Nikki in a hammerlock, but reverses and Nikki twists her arm and gets Martinez down to the mat. Martinez plants Nikki with a snap back body drop. I'm not quite sure exactly what it was, but it was a nice, tight, little, small package. Woo! That looks severe. Nikki ends up on the turnbuckles after a failed sleeper attempt. Martinez sweeps her off. She gets Nikki on the mat, drives some elbow shots to the head. She guillotines her and holds her with a leg lock as well. That looked good. Cross blocks some body strikes and battles back. Nikki Cross hits a cross block and some strikes and battles back with a series of forearms. Corner splash followed by a bulldog. Classic Nikki Cross offense. She does a top rope cross body block, covers Martinez, but only gets 2. Martinez gets a spine buster. Backdrop driver by Martinez. And another backdrop driver. Then hits a release German on Nikki Cross. Nikki fights back and reverses with something. Like she did something to Martinez and Mercedes ended up on her back. Commentary called it a neck breaker. I called it a whiff. Not quite sure exactly what happened there. Nikki hits the purge for the win. Nice little match. Very solid work. I mean, it's hard to go around 2 great workers like that in the ring. With the Mercedes around, it's always a quality match. Cross then gets on all fours and confronts the fallen Martinez, who's regaining her senses. Nikki looks terrifying and angry at first, but then her facial expressions turn to smiles She's telling Martinez, that was fun. That was fun, Mercedes. And Martinez is like, sure. I'm going this way. And she rolls out of the ring. Nice little interaction. Martinez leaves, but then who arrives in the ring, though? Candice LeRae, folks, wearing black lipstick. You know, some people, there's two types of people who wear black lipstick. Those who are going through a phase where they listen exclusively to The Cure, and villains. Are we on the cusp of a Candice LeRae heel turn, accompanying her husband into the darkness? Well, gotta tell you, not quite sure. She comes into the ring to confront Nikki Cross. She's saying, you're messing with people's lives. That's what she keeps repeating. Saying, what are you doing, Nikki? You're messing with people's lives. Now, to me, what's implied here is that Candice doesn't believe what Nikki Cross is saying. Doesn't believe that Nikki Cross is being honest, that Johnny didn't do it. And, you know, basically Nikki Cross is doing this for the lulz. Now, to use some internet lingo, hey, how hip am I? But I think this is what's been set. It's been germinated, seeded. That perhaps we did not quite see Johnny Gargano, or at least it wasn't Johnny Gargano who took down Aleister Black, but Johnny Gargano saw an opportunity to reveal himself as the attacker, to elevate himself, to bring himself to another level, change his ways, his focus. To me, right then and there, the plot just thickened. I'm like, well, there might be something here, or I could be just reading too much into it. Now, that's the first thing I want to talk about Candice's intervention here. Now, Candice LeRae, if you're familiar with her work on the independent circuit, she's wrestled everyone and everything. She's wrestled dudes. She's worked death matches, kicking people in the face while her foot is full of thumbtacks. Her shtick was Candice LeRae is tougher than you. She put that on t-shirts. Since she's arrived in NXT, she's been Johnny Gargano's wife. Now, there was a moment over the course of the summer where she had decided to distance herself, where she clear out said, hey, you know what? Johnny does Johnny things. I'm going to stay away from that. It's of no interest to me. He can do his things, but I have my own career to take care of it. I was like, fantastic. This is what we need. We need Candice on her own doing independent things. Then they start showing them again, holding hands. Lacey Evans saying during their match they had a couple of weeks ago, saying, you know, you're not a good wife. Be a good wife. Go support your man. And I'm like, what? And now again, they're stuffing her into this storyline for some kind of advancement. I don't know exactly what it is yet. I just gave you my theory, but the point here is that Candice LeRae cannot thrive in any form as the wife of a male wrestler. That would be, first of all, it'd be terrible for her career, and it would be disrespectful to the legacy she started to build in the indies. She's a much better wrestler than we've seen right now on NXT at this point. They haven't let her loose. And the Gargano thing is holding her back. And it's, well, quite frankly, it's a little insulting at this point. I don't like what they're doing with her. And it's rare that I feel like NXT's missing the boat on something. Faith and Creative over there, there might be some kind of fantastic twist on the way that she'll be the catalyst for. Maybe this will lead to a series of matches with Nikki Cross. I just want her to go out and have matches, win matches, be awesome, be Candice LeRae. That's what I want. Why are they not giving it to me? Anyway, we're still in the first segment. Time is flying as I go off and editorialize. But Aleister Black then comes out as Nikki Cross is heading back up, and she sort of steps back, like, oh, okay, the man is here. Black comes to the ring, and he stares down Candice, and he says, where is he? Where is he? Candice says he's not here. Says, well, okay, he insults Johnny and he goes away. What I like about how they're handling Aleister Black right now is they're giving him his mystique back. I mentioned this before, and I'm going to just touch over it really quickly. The minute that they started leaving Aleister Black cut his own promos was the moment that he started losing his sheen. He was a silent guy. His whole feud with the Velveteen Dream was to have him was a Dream wanting him to say his name. He barely spoke ever. And when he cut his promos, the promos that he cut, they were so off brand for him. He didn't sound menacing. He didn't sound like this cultish type guy. It was really, really strange. So now what they're doing with Nikki Cross, everyone's sort of like, oh, Aleister's here, giving his presence, everyone feeling his presence, that he's dangerous, he's intimidating. That's good, because that's essential to Aleister Black's character. Next, we get Street Profits versus the Mighty. There's stakes to this match. This is the last shot that the Street Profits get at the Mighty to get their cup and gold chains back. It's all about getting the swag back, isn't it? Thornton gets worn down at first as Dawkins uses strikes and power offense to take him down, but Thorne gets back on top, tags Miller in. But Miller gets flapjacked while Ford tags himself in. And he takes down both guys, takes them down with a double drop kick. Dawkins and Ford clothesline the Aussies to the outside. Tope con hilo by Ford. And honestly, as far as distance goes, flight, Montez Ford for the top rope con hilos. Woo! He gets some air, son. Thorne distracts long enough for Miller to get a spine buster back in the ring. And Ford is your babyface in peril for most of the match. Lots of double team offense and grounded offense by the Mighty here. Ford starts fighting back, but gets a Falcon Arrow for his troubles. But he finally gets the hot tag by diving over Thorne. You get a big right hand on Thorne, but Miller breaks up the pin attempt that followed. We get top rope shenanigans with Ford, and the Mighty perform a combination superplex power bomb. I was right the first time, which looked pretty cool. Goes for a cover, but Dawkins breaks it up. Sky high by Dawkins on Miller. Ford comes in, reverses the fortunes of Street Profits here. And Ford hits the frog splash for the win. He gets his cup. He gets his gold. Street Profits celebrate in the crowd. Hooray. Cheers all around. Fine match. Good match. Both of these teams are improving. William Regal is being interviewed backstage, talking about what's on tap for War Games. William, we're getting awfully close. No matches have been announced. Well, let's get these out of the way. Ciampa versus Velveteen and Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. How about that? Ciampa and Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship. Aleister Black and Gargano because they don't like each other. I'm fine with that. We hear some commotion then backstage, and they cut to production facilities outside. Lars is throwing shit around. He says, that championship match, that was mine. I'm just going to have to rip Velveteen Dream in half, and then I'll take a spot. And guess what? We're getting Lars versus Velveteen Dream next week. But here's the crux, the noodle, the carrot on the end of the stick. The carrot on the end of the stick. You could put a noodle at the end of the stick, but I don't think you'll go forward as fast. I don't think it works as well. Matt Riddle makes his NXT television a debut to a very, very warm welcome by Full Sail. He's facing off Luke Menzies. We saw a couple of months ago. Again, in a enhancement talent situation. I like how he kicked off the flip-flops. He jumped in the ring, kicked off the flip-flops, and the left flip-flop just landed perfectly, like in the ring, right on the corner, like in the camera shot, perfectly. I wonder how long he had to rehearse for that. Good old Matt Riddle, who, by the way, has a lot of stuff over on Fightful.com if you want to go check that out. He's talked with Sean quite a bit in the past. Go check those out. So there's so basically match starts. They try the test of strength. They try to get some advantage over each other. Riddle monkey flips over into a surfboard and then into an armbar, which was pretty nice, folks. Pretty nice. But Menzies puts Riddle into a pinning position, so the armbar has to be released. Menzies shoulders Riddle down, but Riddle lights him up with some kicks, running, jumping forearm, double underhook suplex, cover by Menzies here. He covers Riddle, but he kicks out at 2. He grounds him, chin lock, forearms to the face. But Riddle battles back with some palm strike combos, takes him down with a kick. His senton, man, is so beautiful. He's just like, boing. He just bounces off. It's so good. Followed by a snapping kick to the chest. Whack! The sound it made was not, it was cartoonish, is what it sounded like. It was too much of a snap to sound real. Menzie eats a knee to the jaw. He gets locked into a sort of a half Nelson situation. And Riddle just drives the forearms right into his face. Ends it all with a bro mission. Love it. And Matt Riddle wins his NXT debut. That was cool. Can't wait to see more, of course. All signs point to Cassius Ohno being his first real competition, which we'll probably get at War Games. And I'm all for that. Are you kidding me? Cassius Ohno and Matt Riddle going at each other? I'm down for that. That'd be fantastic. We see Shayna after Evolution backstage with the rest of the the 2 other members of the 4 horsewomen, excluding Ronda, of course. Jessamine and Marina. And we hear basically Sane screaming, Shayna, she's mad, but she can't do anything because she's too hurt to do anything. Hype package for Lacey Evans. We've seen a couple of weeks that we've seen last week as well. She's going to be in action next week. We get Lorcan and Birch versus Humberto Carrillo and Raul Mendoza. Carrillo, of course, is also known as Ultimo Dragon. Mendoza starts evading a lot of Birch's offense until he gets a head scissors. Then Carrillo tags in and gets tags in, and Birch gets Lorcan in, gets some double chops action going. Carrillo flips both guys over, though. That was really nice. Does a springboard takedown on Lorcan. That was huge. A huge takedown. Double dives on Lorcan and Birch on the outside, on opposite sides of the ring. That was cool. Commentary are calling them young upstarts, which I guess they are. It's just we've seen Mendoza for so long now, for a couple of years. He's only 27, something like that. I was sure Mendoza was older. I was like, what? Young upstarts? Like 27, yeah. Don't know if he's an upstart anymore. Moonsault by Carrillo, but Lorcan extends his legs fully. Oh, man. He does the moonsault, and Lorcan is lying down on the mat, and he just lifts both of his legs, not his knees, just lifts them all the way up. Carrillo eats feet for lunch or dinner, whatever moment of the day this match happened. Lorcan comes in with some uppercuts. Big strike by Birch. Mendoza kicks Lorcan and Birch, though. He battles in. Missile dropkick on both dudes. He charges Birch, who hip tosses Mendoza into the corner. They do their double team draping DDT for the win. There's a bit of confusion. I think Birch thought he was the legal man, but he wasn't. It was fine. It was an okay match. I don't think it did Lorcan and Birch any favors, though. I felt like the luchadors or the, they call them lucha style anyway, that the lucha style wrestlers had a better showing. They looked really, 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 really good. But hey, you know, any wins for Lorcan and Birch to keep cementing their place is fine. Final segment of the match, the advertised main event was Bobby Fish and Adam Cole versus the War Raiders. So just before we have the Jocks having a promo around their usual set, the usual ring setting, and not ring setting, but you know, the gripping. There we go. Adam Cole says the Undisputed Era is finally at 100%, but he gets cut off as he's dragged out of nowhere by the War Raiders, and they start beating up the boys all the way to the outside. They lawn dart Adam Cole into a production truck, which it's probably an homage to Kevin Nash and Rey Mysterio. It has to be. There's a cafe around. There's tables set outside. Bodies are flying everywhere. Ricochet comes out to start working down Adam Cole. There's a funny spot at some point where Bobby Fish tries to get back into the building. He's trying to escape the War Raiders, and he's tugging at the door handle. The door is locked, but right next to him is a garage door, which is about like maybe there's a full third of it that's open at the bottom. He could have just slid underneath it, but he was going. It was just right there. The garage door was right there. But they all get back in the ring. Inside the building, they fight back to the ring. Hansen he threw Strong over the barricade onto the floor outside the ring. That was an impressive visual, especially from afar with the camera shot they had. They're back in the ring. They're beating on each other. Hansen eats a chair to the knee by Bobby Fish. Maybe flashes from last week where Fish had gone chair crazy. The UE start beating everyone down until Pete Dunne comes out with a chair, starts murdering everyone with it. William Regal comes out and he's mad. Says, if you're hell-bent on destroying each other, you can fight each other in war games. So that's being set up. Now, is it going to be the 4 guys from Undisputed Era versus War Machine, Pete Dunne, and Ricochet? Or are we going to have another team? I hope we have another team. I think we deserve another team, because I had thought my theory here. My theory here had been War Raiders and Ricochet, British Strong Pals, and the Undisputed Era. At least 3 members. Then when they put the 4th members in, it's like, oh, okay. Then maybe there's room for another guy. Cole had started developing an issue with EC3 last week, so I thought EC3 was going to be involved in this, but not at this stage or at this conjecture. Anyway, we still have some time to build up. See what happens. But honestly, if it's just 2 teams, it lacks a bit of glamour. Just like 2 teams in a cage. Anyway, that was NXT. Another good episode. Fun stuff. Fun seeing Matt Riddle finally make his debut. No outstanding matches, but storylines progressed. New stuff. It was good. I liked it. NXT UK. Been watching it for the past couple of weeks. Keeping myself abreast. This is the 3rd episode. Started off with Trent Seven versus Saxton Huxley. Start off with some strength tests. Seven breaks away. Hits some chops. DDT. The 7-star lariat is dodged into a body press dive. Like Huxley sort of dives like he starfishes on top of Seven. Goes for a cover, only gets 2. Huxley goes for some ground and pound and a Cobra clutch on Seven, who struggles out, but he gets a short arm shoulder block for his trouble by Huxley, and it's back into the Cobra clutch. But Seven connects with the 7-star lariat, gets some chops on Huxley, back body drop after eating a boot, more chops, a snap tiger suplex, torture rack into the burning hammer. Trent Seven with the win. Obviously setting the Mustache Mountain gentlemen as contenders, strong, which is smart. I think they're good guys I think all of the British strong style guys, all three of them, are good anchors for the new brand. Next, we get Flash Morgan Webster versus Mark Coffey, one half of the Coffey brothers. This is a feud that has been bubbling since the NXT, since the UK tournament earlier this summer, where the Coffey brothers were manhandling Flash Morgan Webster, and he's hoping tonight to get even, because in Mod we trust. Another match where there's a big size difference. Mark is he's a big lad, isn't he? He's a big bearded lad, big guy with a big beard. And Webster, I think they build him at 165. So yeah, you know, there's a good difference here. Another big difference in styles. Coffey with some body shots to begin, but Flash Morgan Webster is able to escape out of taking too much damage here. He starts kicking, goes for the leg. Japanese arm drag, followed by a couple of standard arm drags by Webster, gets Coffey down off his feet. Hurricane Rana. And I think what he did, which was really impressive, stands up next to a prone Coffey, Mark Coffey, as opposed to the drink. And I think what he did was an inverted standing shooting star press. Feel free to correct me. I think that's what it was. It was pretty cool. Goes for a cover anyway, but only gets 2. Webster goes for a dive onto Mark, who's on the outside, but Joe blocks him. Joe Coffey. And the distraction is good enough to let Mark get back in and hit a big European uppercut. Are uppercuts in Europe just are European uppercuts in Europe just referred to as uppercuts? And then when someone here in the in North America, when they do an actual it's an actual uppercut, you know, where you lift, you punch someone right under the chin. Is that then referred to as an American uppercut in Europe? I need to research that. Where was side suplex by no, there's a side Russian leg sweep first by Coffey. Side suplex into a pin, but Webster kicks out at 2. Belly to back suplex, and he follows by 3. He does 3 covers on Flash Morgan Webster. Now, does that ever work? I have never seen. If the first cover doesn't work, and you know, heels usually do this, they'll go and they'll try for another cover again, and it never works. I don't know why wrestlers today still do it, because it never works. Now, I get you get frustrated. That's part of the psychology. It's like, oh, I'm so mad. I just wanted to cover. Why won't he stay down? But it never works. It's never worked. And I think at this stage of the game, if you're a contemporary, if you're a new wrestler, up and comer, coming up in 2018, multiple pins after the same move should be out of your inventory, my boy. We'll head on to the end here. There's a yes, that's it. Webster battles back after getting pushed down quite a bit. It's a twisting capagrata by off the rope, which was pretty cool. Covers, gets 2, big jumping knee by Webster. Goes for a dive, but Joe blocks again. But Webster goes on the apron and swings around the post to hit a Hurricane Rana on Mark on the outside, which is really cool. Joe distracts some more. Mark is in the ring. Suplex. Webster gets suplexed by Mark. Covers, only gets 2. Webster then heads to the second rope. He sort of slips off of it. He jumps off, but he slips, but he recovers nicely, lands on his feet, hits a spinning heel kick instead. Nicely done. More distractions by Joe Coffey, but it doesn't help Mark, who gets into a crucifix pin, and Flash Morgan Webster wins. But now Joe comes in and the double team is underway, but out come Mandrews and Travis Banks for the save. And the 3 faces surround the ring. The Coffey brothers seem to be ready for a fight, but they just hit the high roll. They hit the bricks. Get out of there. We have a match with Sam Gradwell versus Danny Burch. This was just a brawl. 2 guys slapping each other around. What more can you say about this match? There was a nice fireman's carry reversed into a German by Burch. That lariats Gradwell down, cover for 2. Gradwell hits a Falcon Arrow on Burch. It was a good physical match, short but interesting. Burch is in his element here. It ends with the draping DDT. He cuts a promo after where he says he's proud to be an Englishman, been flying the British flag across the world for 15 years, performing for wrestling. And he called out Pete Dunne. Said, I'm done doing this about and just garnering respect. I want to garner attention. Hey, Pete, look at me. Come in if you have the go. If you're game, right? If you think you can handle it. Main event is Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. This was set up last week, and oh boy, what a fight this was. Lots of great stuff from at first, where for the most part of the match, both guys are working on very specific parts of the other. Noam Dar is working Gibson's left knee, whereas Gibson is working Dar's left arm. And makes a lot of sense because they both have finishers in their submission finishers in their repertoire, especially Gibson, who has the Shankly Gates, and that's his signature finisher. So that's what goes on for a good part of the first third of the match. Actually, Gibson hurts his knee when he hits the ropes, and Dar takes him down with a kick to the knee, and that's when he starts favoring the knee. Gibson at some point hits a key lock driver right on Noam Dar's left arm. That was cool. Some ground and pound. Gibson rolls off to rest his knee. Gibson hits a short arm clothesline. Let's not call it a rainmaker. Gibson covers, only gets 2. He goes back to working the left arm. He hammerlocks it, stomping the shoulder. Gibson is so precise in his offense, his locks, his strikes. He hits a beautiful armbar suplex using the bad arm, of course. This has been a magnificent display of storytelling throughout the match. We have some top rope shenanigans that lead to Gibson falling off on his knee. Dar hits a Northern Light suplex, covers, gets 2. Fisherman's Buster on Gibson, covers for 2. Dar fights back with some strikes, trying to stay on top. A lung blower by Gibson off the top rope, covers for 2.9. Gibson and Dar are spent. They are exhausted. They've tried everything they could to get on top, to get one up on each other. On the outside, Gibson powerbombs Dar on the ramp. Everyone pretty much thinks this one is done, but no, Dar beats the 10 count. He hits, so as he comes back in, Gibson hits the Shankly Gates. But Dar reaches to the ropes again. There's yes chance. People are behind Dar on this one. Gibson toys with him, slaps him across the face, asking Dar to strike him, which he does. Dar takes out his knee, misses the Nova Roller. Gibson rolls him up into a small package for 2, and that could have been the finish. Everyone had bought it, but no, not done, folks. Dar chops Gibbons down, goes to the top rope. He does a double stomp off the top rope to the knee. but Dar landed out awkwardly, and neither dude can capitalize on this one. Gibson's selling of the knee is extraordinary. What a talent this guy is. The more I see him, the more I want more. Dar gets Gibson into a knee bar, but kicks Dar to the back to release the hold. They're both on the ground. Gibson reaches around. No, actually, Dar has him in an ankle lock, then grapevines him into an ankle lock, into a leg bar right in the middle of the ring. Gibson reaches around and they start slapping each other in the middle of the ring. Gibson tugs at Dar's ear to get the upper hand. Dar goes up to the top rope again for another double stomp, but he misses. Instead, Gibson tosses him into the ring post. Helter skelter. Gibson wins. This was a fantastic fight. A great match. Go check it out right now. I think this is the best match that NXT UK has delivered to us so far. Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. Man, people hate Zach Gibson. This is a great, great match. Go check it out. Guys, check out the rest of everything. Speaking of checking out, check out everything else on FightfulSelect.com. There's so much content, so much great stuff. Why don't you go take a look? And then if you want, you can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes, or on my own personal YouTube channel where I do WWE recaps and stuff at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me this evening or this morning or whenever, and I'll see you next time.